share with you some tips that I've kind of picked up over the years as we've been camping in our StarCraft pop-up camper we bought in 2006. We've really liked it, and I've done various modifications and stuff recently, particularly related to the refrigerator, trying to get that to work. And today I just want to talk a little bit about solar panel. Some years ago, when we first considered installing it, the larger solar panels I felt were really quite expensive. And I also made some modifications to the top of our camper, which made it a little more difficult to install a large panel. So at that time, I bought one of these 40-watt panels, fold out, from Camping World, which I kind of liked. At 40 watts, it could give a max of maybe 3 amps at maximum power. So I thought we'd go ahead and try and do it. And like others who've had this, and I've seen their videos as well, I could break this out. And again, what's nice, I can have the cables in here and just lay it flat on the roof, and it certainly will generate electricity. But certainly what was obvious is that early morning, late in the day, when the sun angle's rather low, the efficiency drops off quite a bit. So I decided I wanted to come up with some way that I could kind of keep it angled toward the sun, but it would require that I can at least periodically move it. So the topic of this particular video is what I came up with. Again, what surprised me a little bit is I needed a way to kind of protect it and carry it. And looking around, a medium-sized insulated pizza carrier is perfect. This solar panel fits perfectly in it. Similarly, I bought one of these ball leveling devices that you put under your wheel to level your trailer, and a large insulated pizza carrier fits that perfectly. So consider that if you're looking for some way of protecting it. So what did I come up with? Well, this came with its own little charge controller and the wiring. And as you could see when I unfolded this, I had to attach some wiring to connect it. And again, for anything involving 12 volts, I really like these connectors. They're like a little 2-pole trailer connector. One pole is protected, so that's always the positive to me, or the live one. And I just keep this in a little box with the trailer. Also came with a little chart which helped explain the little lights on here, and so I kind of have that protected. So moving on, I needed to design some kind of mount for it, and just looking at stuff I pretty much had on hand, I had a 3/8 piece of plywood, so that seemed to be a good thing for the base. I needed to have a way to angle it, so I simply cut out 2 triangular pieces of plywood, thinner, maybe about the same. When I store it, I want it to be flat, so I just mounted them with hinges, and so the solar panel just fits right on top of that. I needed a way to kind of be able to turn it, so I drilled a hole in the middle, and so I would have this as a pivot point to turn it around. And then to help move it, I installed in each 4 corner a little eyelet, I think sometimes called a rope loop, that I could screw down, as I will then hook into a cord to each of those, and I'll show you. On here I had a couple stretches with Velcro that I use. I have 2 little bolts that I'm going to attach the panel to it, and I'll just demonstrate that. We'll go ahead and mount it. So I simply open the mount, open the panel anyway, orient it so the cables are going down, and they'll feed out through the back of the panel. I ended up putting a couple pieces of wood and other things here to just help hold it in place while I'm trying to position the panel. So there, that's down. And then I can just run the bolt through and put a little butterfly nut just to keep it from coming apart. And again, normally what I'd do is we come to a campsite. Before I raise the trailer, obviously, I got to get this on the roof. So I'll pull this out, go to the nearby picnic table, and assemble this. So essentially now it's complete. In the back here, again, that little strip of, well, I should have pointed out, to have it pivot, I actually had to elevate this a little. So again, I put some little blocks of wood here, and these are little Teflon skid pads to make it a little easier for it to swivel around. But I needed that because the pivot point itself ends up being another piece of wood with simply a wooden dowel on it and industrial grade Velcro. I mean, this is the really tough stuff. And so that would be mounted on the roof of the trailer, and we'll show it. And I would mount that on it to simply act as a pivot. So let's go ahead and I'll show it. Okay, well, once I've got the solar panel assembled, I now need to go ahead and mount it on top of the trailer in a manner that I can swivel it around. The little, pivot point I pointed out earlier, I've already attached it. It's secured by industrial grade Velcro, so I can just leave it there. It's not going to go anywhere. So here's the solar panel here, and it's mounted on its mount. So now it's a matter of just getting it up. So now it's mounted on the pivot point. The cord or the cable that I'm going to connect to the controller is right here. I'll just put it up for now. So the last two things is, again, now I pointed out this was a kind of just a panel I created to put on the back. To reduce the windage in case the wind comes from behind, and it protects it also in case you get some rain from that direction. Now, how I end up, well, actually, no, how we end up coming up with a way to change its orientation is I just have a cord here with two clips on it, one on each end. And so depending where the sun is at the Oriented campground, I may put it at different corners. But in this case, I'll put one at this corner for demonstration, and the other at this corner. And what keeps the line more or less taut is just a small fishing weight, which is got a little eyelet there so it can slide. So normally it just hangs down. So normally if I come to a campground, I'll get this set up and then I'll just orient it toward where the sun's going to set. And I'll follow that, and immediately, we'll start generating power. So toward about the end of the day, I'll now have it oriented right toward where it's setting, and it'll generate power almost all the way to the end. Once I know where the sun sets, and let's say the sun's gone down and it's no longer generating power, I'll go ahead and just swivel it around, not quite 180 degrees, but pretty close to that, where now I can have a pretty good idea where the sun's going to rise in the morning. And so I'll just kind of leave that. Although I haven't done it, I normally, prior to this, would have gone ahead and hooked up my power cord from the solar panel to the controller. The controller I've have it so it's mounted again on Velcro, and it's underneath where the bed pullout will be, so it's protected from the rain and weather. And first, you're always informed or instructed to connect the controller to your battery, which I've done. And now I can go ahead and hook this on in. Oh, let's see if I'm here. And it does show that the green light is on. So by my little diagram here, it shows that it is charging, providing power to the battery. But this arrangement has worked out pretty well for me. Granted, it's not 100 watts by any matter, but I can get pretty much the maximum amount of power out of this. And normally, in the morning it'll be here. I'll readjust it when I get up. And then if I'm out for the day, which frequently we are, hiking or fishing, I'll just swivel this around to about halfway. And this way, as the sun goes across, it'll still be angled pretty much at an optimum angle, and it'll be, generating power. I had in another video, I've talked about how I've installed some fans in my, upper part of my refrigerator compartment. And so this more than provides enough power to run those all day long, and do some other minor charging and stuff. So I hope that was useful to you. It's an easy project to do for those of you who have bought a smaller 40-watt folding solar panel and trying to figure out what to do with it. If you found this helpful, maybe give a thumbs up. If you've got any questions, submit them and I'll try and answer them. And there are several other videos I have, some having to do with the refrigerator and also how I set up the inside of the trailer. So thank you very much. We'll see you later.